Yeah, so I got an email from a person saying, I believe I'm a good man. I am married, but just don't love and know intimacy for years. I'm trying a new career path really hard. I would like to live somewhere else, maybe in the Caribbean, so I can meet people from my background. Please tell me if I'm on the right path. I'm trying all I can to change my life. I really don't like where I live, and I am desperately want to change in my life. Thank you for your time. Excuse for the grammar, stuff like that. Okay. I'll tell you this, like, first thing I get from your message is that there's this, it's pretty common nowadays. The last few people, last 3 out of 10 people had this. I'm picking it up on you as well. There is this personality cloak, as I would call it. And imagine this. You yourself might work spiritually. You do things when you interact with people. You're trying your best to give, to communicate, to be kind, to be loving, to be informative, to adapt, to find compromises. And people still see you as jerk. Oh, this guy's a dick. They still see you like icky. They feel this pushback, a bit of aggression, and they have a complete different image than what you are. They perceive you completely different. And so I would not say that everyone, but a lot of people that connect with you, that see you, they don't see who you really are. They see the cloak of personality, a cloak of other being, and they're not seeing who you really are. They're seeing someone else. So this personality cloak I call is basically some ETs, some entities, some people can actually put this energetic thing onto you. They can change how others perceive you. This whole energy thing. And it's like someone using your name to or like using your name as a scapegoat. They'll talk stuff about you, and people will have a complete misperception of who you are. And so I'm picking up like a lot of it has to do with this personality cloak. With it, a quick solution you can do yourself, or if some of you are listening to this and feel like, hey, well, yeah, I kind of go with it. Maybe I assume I have something similar where I might be loving, I might be kind, I might do stuff, or not love and lie, but you're like, hey, understanding, listening, just like trying my best to survive, to be with others, and then boom, people just target you. So it's like that complete perception. There is a personality cloak. Think of Harry Potter invisibility cloak. You put it on and no one sees you. But now make it invisibility cloak, but they will see someone else and they will not see the true you. If you feel like you have something like it, focus on it. Try to identify what it is, because you know how people perceive you. You feel it. Whether it's like jealousy, whether they feel this pushback where, hey, you're a bit too harsh for me. They don't want to connect. They might feel some rage or some difficulties. Think of like, okay, so I'm trying my best to just be with others, but the way I see and I assume others perceive me is that I'm hateful, I'm angry, I'm harsh, and I have a big ego, something that you might identify in your space. Identify that. Think of the invisibility cloak as if you have a blanket on yourself, and just energetically, with your intention, imagine grabbing it, lifting it off, and say, this is no longer me. Like, you remove it, right? So whether you do the physical move or you have an intention and you imagine removing that blanket, and imagine dissolving it. Like, that blanket is destroyed, it burns, it dissolves, it disappears, it is no longer in your existence. And say that from now on, anyone that has seen the overlay will now see the true me. My true colors are revealed, my real beingness are seen by people, and this is the way it is. So you can find your own way to name it. You can say it in other words, whatever works for you, but this is just a little example. Another thing, when I read your email, you have heard of reptilian races, of Draco races, of mantis and stuff. think of, oh, I mentioned it in a few of my videos and a few streams as well, in some of the scans and sessions I do with people. Imagine Ninja Turtles. Someone called it in the comments and it worked. Yeah, so humanoid turtle standing like a or anthropomorphic turtle-ish. Probably that's the best way to call it. Turtle standing on its own footsies. It has its own little arms, the way it is, but it's really freaking intelligent. Think of Reptilian, but these guys are just as smart, are just as intense, and their bigger focus and more abilities are in even the emotional intelligence field. Now, these guys, they are also working on generating loosh, using people as assets and just like, milking it, right? So one of the things these tortoise beings do is that they focus on your life. They don't target big communities. They go more by individuals, just focusing on people who have the highs and lows. If you have days where you're really working on yourself and you reach the best point in life where, hey, you've tried and today is a really good day. Whew. And the next day is crash and burn and everything just goes downhill worse and worse and worse. And the triggers you get, your reaction, they like to focus on these kind of people. Tortoise beings, as they work in the emotional intelligence, they have a great way with telepathy. And if you've heard of, Project Soulcatcher, so synthetic telepathy, remote neural monitoring, voice to skull, these guys use various, tech, direct energy weapons, and in a way, they have abilities to access your consciousness, access your minds. So things you feel, things you think, they can put fake thoughts in your head. They can put fake feelings and amplify it. So there's going to be a day where you're feeling fine. Everything's working. Everything's fine in your life. Boom, you feel like dying. You want to kill yourself. You start hating people. You want to disappear while you were having a good day. And it's like complete opposite of how you feel. And you're just like, you can't shake it off. There are times when you will have conversations with people and some stupid phrase will slip out of your mouth. It's like, how the hell? I wasn't even focusing on it. And that went out. And now that little phrase, stirring everyone else up, causing the reaction, and it's like one thing, one slip away, and everything's ruined. And now there's bickering and arguments and being fired or something like that. These tortoise beings on emotional intelligence levels affects our awareness, makes us ignore the red flags, and if it's not us that they target specifically, they like to target people around us, amplifying our reactions. So if we get triggered, if we get angry, if we're like, okay, control myself, and they say something and you slip away, you lose that self-control, you lose that awareness of self or the situation, you lose the control of responding to things. They like to amplify our negative feeling states, but also if they cannot get to you, they will try to mess with people around you. And they will use others, kind of hijack the person, and someone that you might find loving, that you might find like, hey, this is my best friend, this is my wife, this is my husband. In seconds, they turn into a complete psychopath. For about a minute, they do something crazy, say something nasty, act out of their character, and then boom, react back to normal as if nothing happened. And you're like, why are you mad? What happened? Why are you triggered? You're like, bitch, please. You just said so many stuff that triggered me. And so stuff like that can happen. These tortoise beings do it to a lot of people. They're looking for those emotional highs and lows. And they're looking for people who are at their peaks so that they can trigger you, make you like crash and burn, and then amplify the negative feeling states and mess with you. So you have this group on your ass, I'll tell you that. There's Prillians. Prillians are humanoid bird-like beings. Imagine the Egyptian god Ra. Similar to it. They have different shapes and forms depending on the density or realms they're in. So sometimes they can be like small little black birds. Yeah, just different, but they can grow, they can shapeshift, they can become more humanoid, more bird. And at the same time, I made a video on them in the past, so you can watch it on YouTube if you want. I've talked about them in the past. Basically, they're working on a subatomic level. And one of the biggest things that stands out about them is that while you might work on yourself, spiritually, physically, it's kind of like they put you back in place where you spend time, you put in the effort, but you do not see the results. And it feels like all the work you did just, hey, nothing. It didn't work. They're trying to cause a perception that what you're doing is not working, that you're like, oh yeah, just forget it. No, the technique worked. They put you back in a reality where you just didn't do the work. It feels like, like you've spent time, you've put in effort, you did the work, but the results, they put you back in place where you didn't do it. So these groups, again, if we know who to identify, how do we deal with them? How do we deal with the tortoise beings? How do we deal with brilliance? You're a godlike being. You're limitless. You're infinite. You're powerful. You should know it. You should own it. Your imagination is your superpower. If you can identify beings who target you, whether you see them or not, whether you know how they look like or not, that does not matter. You do not need to have amazing, super powerful visuals and see every single detail and engage in the conversation. Yeah, I talk about it. Going out of body or having a telepathic communication with these beings, it's great if you can do it, but it's a muscle that you have to practice. If you have not practiced the muscle yet, you don't see them, you don't have the the communication, this is okay. Think of this. Writing your own book, writing a paragraph, writing an article, you can have your target, you can identify specific issues, specific groups, and like, okay, the essence, like, for example, if you think about your love life, uh, a cat, a dog, something positive, you choose a being that creates this great feeling of like peace, quiet, content, love, something that makes you feel really happy. When you think about your animal or a person that makes you feel that way, what kind of essence do they have? Not the visuals, you don't have to see them, you don't have to communicate with them. How do they make you feel? When I'm around my dog, I'm always feeling safe. I feel protected. I feel loved. I feel joy. This guy is like no one else. When I'm around my lover, I feel like, hey, look, I'm the only person he sees. While he might work with tons of people, engage with others, I know that I'm the one. It makes me feel really great. Different people create different feeling states. When we're working against groups, ETs, entities, beings that we might not see, but we know we're suffering from. Reptilians, manatees and stuff, yeah, we have an idea. Turtle beings, okay, like an energy turtle, advanced and sci-fi stuff, great. You have an idea. Think of their essence. Kind of groggy and aggressive and, really harsh pushback, and their focus is on emotional intelligence, or maybe the takeover and reprogramming of the mind. You have an idea, you identify what it is. Just identifying the essence, their characteristics is enough. And whether you see it or not, think of like writing a paragraph that is manifesting the events, that's manifesting everything that's going on. And you're like, okay, there is this group of brilliants, if I mentioned that I might have them. Brilliants, basically humanoid bird-looking beings. They're undoing the work I do for myself. So shadow work, energy work, stuff like that. I put in the effort, I put in the time, no results. They're the ones causing it, putting me back in place where nothing happened. Now you have you identified what it is, how do they work, you have an idea. And in your own script, whether you just create it in your mind, whether you write it down. So now I take these beings, and it's all about how creative you are and how you want to work. Tons of tools. I'm not saying that there's only one. You have to be creative. You have to think like what works for you, what works for your mindset. Some people are like, okay, kill it with fire, shoot them, destroy them. So you might imagine that one group that's targeting you, that you feel like, okay, I kind of have an image. I have an idea. I know that they're targeting me. I feel this way. Your inner lie detector will tell it all. So whatever I'm whatever I'm telling you, run it through your own personal bullshit filter. Choose out what stands out to you the most. That's like, okay, that kind of fits, that doesn't. Just go with your own belief system. That's fine. And then, as you identify these beings, however you feel, you can destroy them. You can put them in a box, close the box, and just send it to that galactic corporate transmutation. You can use the galactic vacuum and just suck them all up in a vortex and send them for transmutation. You could use the golden lights, like golden shackles, and like again send them into the light. Like, or you might have some friends. You might like, hey, I'm working with Irma, so use that group to target them and get them out of the picture. But it's all about how creative you are and how comfortable you feel in your own shoes and what you want to do. So there's that. Um, just going back to the email, feeling like okay. So we have personality cloak. We have the tortoise beings. We have Perillians. What else? I mentioned that you're trying a new career path, really hard, but you want to change your life and you want to move. Let's see. Um, I would say if you have any possibilities, suck it up and 1 month. Wait, try to survive, try to handle things, but for 1 month, because it seems like if you're gonna get some offers, uh, double check with yourself. Like whatever I'm saying, you can dismiss it. Go with what you feel, what you trust your gut. But I would say like for another month, even if you get any offers for a job or stuff, it's more for a deception just to get you in a situation where they can control you. More like just a casual work, casual life, but it's gonna get you in, get you hooked, get you in, get you playing it, and then there's gonna be plenty of triggers where it's really hard to leave, and it's like toxic relationship. So I would say like for 1 month, try to suck it up because like just this period in life where more groups are active, feels like currently as regards job or moving somewhere else, trust your gut. Even what I'm saying, what I'm picking up is one thing. What you might find for yourself might be completely different, which is fine. But I would just go like with 1 month trying to handle it, and then after that, like more opportunities will open up. Uh, Specifically because your energy is being used to trigger you, to mess with your relationships, and to just it's that loop. It's that loop where they're trying to make you feel good and then create that crash and burn. But it's a continuous thing. Like for you specifically, it seems like they're trying to create events in life where, hey, your relationship is good, and then things fall apart. Hey, you got a job, and then they're controlling you. Hey, you might be able to move, and then it's really harsh, and then you lose stuff. So like they're trying to create this hook, something tasty. Oh, look, a candy. Like a donkey sees a carrot. Like okay, you have your meal ready for you. It's like tasty, you want to get it, but they're like, hey, it's a bait. And now they have control over you. So it feels like this month, just June in general, or at least few weeks through the June, it's more of a control mechanism just to get us hooked and then create situations where we might feel enslaved, where we might feel having a hard time leaving or changing things up because like, hey, we got a new job. Quitting already? Well, yeah, it creates this mentality thing where you feel like you got a new job and now you have to work there, but you will have a hard time quitting. So I would just say like for 1 month, go with what you feel. But personally, like at least for you, I'm getting like this, like watch out. Um, for you, I'm getting like more grounding and cleanup is needed because there's like a lot of background beliefs, like things that have been happening to you in your life, as regards relationships, as regards work, with a lot of triggers. It's like it's building up and it's like getting dirty, and that dirt layer does not leave, it does not come off. You still had not had time to shower spiritually and energetically to clean it all off. And with the buildup, there's more and more layers, and your body is just craving for that stuff to leave your space. So again, everyone finds what works for them. Whether you go for walks, whether you go for jogs, whether you take a shower or soak in a bath. whether you sit next to the fire, whether you look at the stars, your body is asking to get away from devices, at least, for 1 hour, get away from technology, sit in nature, or at least, in a shower or something. You need to wash up, to clean up in a way. Some of the possible recommendations is pure rose essential oil. It's really good for like cleaning past life traumas and stuff. Like if because of the buildups, since things that are happening to you, they're how should I say it? It triggers the past life incidents, but at the same time, I'm seeing you've been in the fake dreamscapes where your physical body falls asleep, you end up dreaming, but it's not your own reality. It's not the places you go to willingly. You are being put in a dreamscape where it's like they are creating simulations of realities to trigger you. And while it might seem nice, it's programming your consciousness, and it's like in the background writing fake lifetimes, things you have not experienced for real. But it's like watching a movie or having the VR gear. It feels like it's happening to you. It's not, it's just a simulation, but you've experienced it. So they're trying to install some things in the background where your physical body and you will react to stuff and will be more triggered, even though you did not have certain traumas or you should not react that way. So they're just like trying to create these chains of reaction where they will have more access to you and trigger you. So there's that. But yeah, just a general look.